Alrighty, sorry. This is SID Standards Part 2. I wasn't paying attention last time and I didn't realize my time was cut short. I'm sorry. The proportion of boys who preferred C is equal to the proportion of girls who preferred C. So let's just look at C. So for the boys, 30 out of 120 boys preferred C. For girls, same amount of girls, but there were less girls in the study, so their proportions are not the same. So you have 3 answers here. All right. A radio station did a survey to determine what kind of music to play by taking a sample of middle school, high school, and college students. They were asked which of these 3 different types of music they prefer on the radio, hip-hop, alternative, or classic rock. The results are summarized in the table below. What percentage of college students preferred classic rock? So let's just look at the classic rock column. Okay. And so in total, there were, let's see, 4 plus 6 is 10, 24. There were 24 in total that preferred classic rock. So it wants to know what percentage of that was from college. So we have 14 out of 24. To figure out a percentage, you just do the top divided by the bottom times 100, or if you can, you don't necessarily have to do 100. So we have 14 divided by 24 is 58.3333333. You could also do times 100 if you want to just look at the 58. So for this, it'd be 58%, because when you go from a 0.53, you bring the decimal over twice, and that gives you a percentage. All right, the scatter plot below represents the forearm lengths and foots of 10 people. Based on a linear model of the data, what's the best prediction for the length of a person's foot if his or her forearm length is 21 centimeters? All right, so let's look at forearm length. So they're trying to find this area. So let's go. So between 20 and 22, somewhere in here, we're going to do a dot. And so it's kind of asking you which one of those is like the best guess. All right, so let's try some. So 19. So if I plug in 19, does that look like it goes in the general direction of the dots? And to me, I don't think it does. So let's go ahead. I don't think it's, oops. Let me go back. Should have picked another color. So it wants to know in here, where does the dot fit? Let's do, oh, gosh, I'm all stressed about my colors. All right, sorry. When we guessed 19, I don't think it was 19. So let's try 20. Actually, I'm just going to do them all. 22 and 24. So which one of those probably represents if this were to kind of go in the trend? Well, we can kind of see this is like a best fit line right here. And actually, it goes right through 22. So I'm going to go with 22. I think the other ones, 24 is just too high, and 19 and 20 are just too low. Okay. The following figure displays a graph showing GPA and SAT scores. Based on the scatter plot, which of the following is the best assumption about the correlation between the variables? It is a positive linear correlation. There's no correlation at all. A negative linear correlation, or an exponential. So when we have here, we know that these are generally going in this upward direction here. We can see that the dots are kind of going in that direction. So it's not no correlation, and it's not a negative correlation because it's going up. So now you just have to, is it positive linear or exponential? Well, then it's going to, so you pretty much have to know what the difference is. So if you have 2 graphs, a linear is going to be a line, just a straight line, kind of like that. An exponential function increases exponentially, so it goes up way faster. So this looks more like a line. It's not increasing really, really fast. So I'm going to go with positive linear correlation. Last question. Eduardo notices he gets no mosquito bites when he wears a certain type of sunscreen. He forms two possible conclusions. The first one is the sunscreen causes mosquitoes to stay away from him. Or there is no correlation between wearing sunscreen and getting no mosquito bites, but one does not cause the other. Oh, I'm sorry. There is a correlation between wearing sunscreen and getting no mosquito bites, but one does not cause the other. Which observation would provide the best evidence to support the conclusion 2? A. Eduardo's friend gets mosquito bites when he goes out without sunscreen. Well, what we're trying to see is, does he not get mosquito bites regardless if he wears sunscreen? Like, one doesn't necessarily cause the other. So Eduardo's friend gets mosquito bites when he goes out without sunscreen. Well, that actually supports this one, that if you wear the sunscreen, it keeps mosquitoes away. So it's not A. All right. Eduardo's friend wears the same sunscreen and also gets no mosquito bites. Well, that statement would also support number 1, because number 1 says that the sunscreen is supposed to keep the mosquitoes away. So that one doesn't support claim number 2. C. Eduardo gets no mosquito bites when he goes out at the same time of day without sunscreen. So for that one, he's basically saying that regardless if he wears sunscreen or not, it's the time of day that is the reason he's not getting mosquito bites. That one could support claim 2. So D. Eduardo tries a new kind of sunscreen and goes out at a different time of day and gets mosquito bites. Well, him trying a new sunscreen is not going to support either one of them, because we're trying to prove if this sunscreen is the reason he's getting no bites or if it's just the time. Well, if he changes the sunscreen and the time, we don't know which one of those is going to help which one. So D is a no. It is C. So these standards you can find in your USA test prep. Do not forget your EOC is Monday morning, the 13th. So it's the 13th and the 14th. If you need to see again what these standards are, it's all the SID standards. So you can find these in USA test prep if you want additional practice, reading graphs, understanding graphs, pulling information from them. As you can see, a lot of times it didn't ask you to create a graph. It asks you to read it. And can you understand the data it's giving you? Can you make sense of it? Can you put just a graph with a bunch of numbers, like this one, into sentences? So that is what I'm hoping you'd take away from this video. All right, end of part 2.